So 2324 practice, top of your paper. You're not going to need graph paper, just normal paper. We're going to do a little bit from each just so we know that we're on the right track. We are starting to get a little closer to the end of the chapter. So as we do that, we got to make sure we understand how everything works. So let's take a look at problem 1, 2, and 3. It says find the slope of the line that passes through each pair of points, then determine whether the line rises to the right, falls to the right, or is horizontal or vertical. Let's talk about that for a minute. If a line rises to the right, that just means positive slope. Falls to the right, negative slope. Horizontal has a 0 slope. Vertical has some number over 0. Remember that undefined. Okay? So as you do 1, 2, and 3, do the slope calculation, and then just say, you can say positive slope, negative slope, rise, fall, vertical, horizontal, 0, undefined, anything like that. Just tell me what this tells you about the line. Okay? So let's do number 1. So for 1, 2, and 3, you're going to use the slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay? So they've given you 2 points. I would label them x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay? So just label them. And then we're going to take those points and we are going to plop them into the formula. So our y2 is 0. Our y1 is 3. So it's 0 minus 3. We're always subtracting that second one, so be very mindful of that. And then our x2 minus x1 would be 5 minus 0. Here's how you can check your work very clearly. These two should be a point, starting from the bottom going up to the top. 5, 0 is a point. These two should be a point, starting from the bottom to the top. 0, 3 should be a point, which it is. And now do your calculation. We get negative 3 over 5. If the fraction can reduce, please reduce it. If the fraction cannot reduce like this one, that is your answer. You just have to tell me one more thing, that it is falling to the right. Okay? So negative slopes fall to the right, positive slopes rise to the right. And so remember, horizontal 0 slopes go together, and then undefined slopes and vertical lines go together. Okay. Any questions about what we're looking for 1, 2, and 3? Okay. For problems 4, 5, and 6, to find the slope of the graph, my suggestion is to put it into y equals mx plus b form, and you're going to just, once you do that, you're going to look at the coefficient on your x. Okay, so let's do number 4 together. So we need to solve it for y. Now, what's really great about number 4 is you just move the 2x over. So that one's pretty easy. So instead, let's jump to 5. And if you've already left 4, you can leave it there for future. But let's do number 5 together. So I want to solve it for y. So first off, I'm going to subtract x from both sides. Now, I'd like to put it in front of whatever number's there. So I'm going to rewrite that as negative 5y equals negative x minus 15. Now, slope-intercept form has it solved for y. There's no coefficient that should be touching that y. So we do have to divide everything by negative 5. So that's our next step. Okay. And so our final version that's going to help us find the slope is y equals. Now, let's take a look at this first piece. 2 negatives on our x makes it a positive. There's really not something on the x, so it's a 1. I would write that as positive 1/5 x. That's so you can clearly see what that slope is. The 1 came from the x. The 5 came because we were dividing underneath it, okay? And then a negative divided by a negative is a positive, and 15 divided by 5 is 3. Now that we have that, and you have that written, I just need you to tell me that m equals, or the slope equals. You can write the word or the letter that the slope in this one is 1/5. And that's it, okay? So that's what you're doing for 4, 5, and 6. 4 is pretty easy. I do want to show you a quick little piece of information about number 6. Think about if you just wrote it like that, and that will help you for ones that you only have a y in it. There's number 6, a little hint for you there, okay? Now let's take a look at 7 through 12. Now 7 through 12, we had some on one of the homeworks. I believe it was the 2-3 homework. It said find the r that would make this particular slope. It's the same thing. They just used a instead of r. I don't know why they didn't consistently use it, but they used a, okay? So let's do let's do 7 and 11, okay? We'll do one, well, we might do 7, 9, and 11. Just follow along here. Let's look at 7. Okay, so our slope formula. So make this x1, y1, and this x2, y2. This is our m, okay? So we're just going to plop that into our slope formula. Remember, our slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And we're going to end up getting an equation that we can solve, usually using cross multiplication, which is nice. Okay, so our m is 3. Make it 3 over 1. That's going to be helping us so we can cross multiply. Is going to equal, okay? Now let's set up our y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that's 9 minus 0. Now if you just do 9 minus 0 in your head, go for it. You can do that. And then a minus 5. So that is a proportion. Now, mathematically speaking, the quickest way to solve a proportion is to cross multiply, okay? Now, to multiply this piece, just put it in parentheses. That's the easiest way to cross multiply that. So that's going to be 3 times a minus 5. 1 times 9, because this right here is 9. 1 times 9 is 9. So if you want to do some of those pieces in your head, you go for it, okay? Now at this point, we can either divide both sides by 3, that's an option, or we can distribute the 3 and then take care of it later. Do you want to divide by 3 first, or do you want to distribute? Each is good for some reasons and each isn't. Which one do you want to go for? What do you want to do? Distribute or divide? What do you think? Distribute. Okay, let's distribute. We're going to take that 3. Let's distribute it in. Okay, now remember, we have to multiply by both pieces. So that's going to be 3a minus 15 equals 9. And that's just an equation where they said solve for a. So that's all we have to do. We're going to add 15 to both sides. 15 plus 9 is 24. And then all you got to do from there is divide by that coefficient. Divide both sides by 3. We get a is 8. Okay? And then you're done. As soon as you find the a value, you have to go no further. Okay? Any questions on number 7? Okay, let's talk about number 9. An undefined slope. This is the only time you do this. If it says that the slope is 0 or undefined, 0 you don't even have to do it. It's more the undefined one. We know that this has to be a vertical line, and we know that the x's have to match. So take a look. What does a have to equal for number 9? Yeah, it's just that x value. So the answer is, for number 9, a has to equal 7. So if you're trying to get a vertical line where the x's match, just make the a where the x's match. If you want a horizontal line, you would want the y's to match. And so I wanted to kind of show you that one. And then the last one I want to do with you in this section is number 11. Because there's so many fractions there, fractions can be weird because they're going to be fractions within the fractions and they're going to be funky. So let's do 11 together, okay? So we know that negative 1/8 is our slope. Now let's do the slope formula. So let's label these x1, y1 and x2, y2. Okay, so we're just going to plop them into the formula. We got fractions to deal with, so it's a little bit funky, okay, but we can do it. Ready? Okay, so y's, 3/4 minus a, over, let's do the x's, 1/2 minus 1/4. Now, the only one I'm going to do, and I will do it, well, I'll do it in my head, but You can do it on the calculator using that ABC button. The only one I can do at this time that I could think that is even of any benefit to do right now is just this one, okay? So let's do that. 1/8 equals 3/4 minus A over, okay. 1/2 is 2/4. 2/4 minus 1/4 is 1/4. And you can throw that into the calculator. Again, that ABC button, which is in the second column, the third one down, you can do that there. Between the 1 and the 2, you just hit that button. Okay, so this is where I think we should just cross multiply. Okay, and so when you cross multiply, this piece here has to be in parentheses. Okay, now we're not going to completely do the cross multiplication. We kind of are, but okay. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, -1 times 1/4 is -1/4. That's easy to do in your head, so why not do it? 8 times that thing, that parenthesis, just put 8 in front of that parenthesis, and then we can use the distributive property. So again, not the greatest problem, it's kind of gross. Multiplying through by 8 actually makes things pretty nice because since 4 goes into 8 so nicely, it will cancel nice. You just do 8 times 3, 24, divided by 4, you get 6. And then 8 times A is 8A, don't forget your negative. Okay. Now, if you don't like fractions, we saw some equations like this earlier in the year. I always said you can just multiply through by 4, the denominator. It will make things nice if you don't like fractions. Do you want to do that, or do you want to deal with the fraction like a fraction? What do you want to do? You want to get rid of the fraction? Okay, why not get rid of the fraction? Let's multiply everything through by the denominator of 4. What it does, the only thing that does by doing this is it kind of leaves the fractions till the end. So it kind of cleans it up a little bit, okay? So we get -1. The reason we do that, we get -4 divided by 4 is -1. 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times 8 is 32. Okay. And now you can see it's just a nice, simple equation. We kind of got rid of the fractions a little bit, so we have less fractional junk to deal with. Subtract 24 from both sides. We get -25 equals -32A. What do we do to get rid of that -32? Yeah, we divide that off, and you guys are getting really good at some of your last steps of your equations, which is awesome. 2 negatives are going to make a positive, so it's going to be 25 over 32. It'll be positive now, so you don't need to write any signs. Since 25 and 32 have no common factors, that's the way I want it. That's the best way to deal with it. Otherwise, earlier we might have had to get common denominators and done some funky things. This just kind of helps you to deal with that. So those are kind of, one of the hardest ones in that section. Do we have any questions at all about section 2-3? Do we have any questions? Let me zoom in so you can see number 7, 9, and 11. And then I'll make sure everybody's caught up, and then we'll talk about 2-4. Anybody have any questions about 2-3 before we move on to 2-4? Are we good? Okay, now in 2-4, in this first section here, they said state the slope and y-intercept of the graph of each equation. So guys, I'm just going to do 2 and 5 in the middle here. I know that's weird, but here's why. The slope and y-intercept of a graph is very easy to see if it is in y equals mx plus b form, right? Because the m is showing, the b is showing, you got everything you need. So all you got to do if it's set up like number 2 is tell me, hey, your m is 0.12 and my b is, you have to include the negative now. Your B is negative 3.75, okay? So that's all you got to do when it looks like number 2. So 2's good. Is 5 the way we want it? No, right? we need to solve it for y. So, yeah, we can just get that coefficient off of that y, divide everything by 5. Now, if it doesn't divide by 5, just leave it. If it's divisible by 5, divide it. So I would rewrite that as y equals, so I'm going to write the x first. That's negative 1x. Now, if you want to put the negative 1 there and show the 1, go for it. It doesn't hurt a darn thing. And then 2 divided by 5 is just a positive 2/5. So you'll notice that the positive went with the 2/5 and the negative goes with the x. So even when I arrange the order, watch your signs. Okay, so what's our slope? Somebody want to share? What's the slope for number 5? Yeah, very good. You know, you got to take, when you don't see it, if you want to put a 1 there, that's okay. You can. The slope is negative 1. What's our y-intercept? Yeah, that 2/5, that 2/5. Okay? Now, if you did 2 divided by 5 in a calculator, if it's a nice decimal like 0.4, you can write that. That's acceptable. And sometimes that's helpful when we're graphing because then you have an approximate decimal location. Okay, everybody good with that section 1 through 6? Do we have any questions? Okay, now to write an equation for 7 through 13, okay, there's 3 steps you want to write on the top of your paper. The first step is to find the slope. The second step is you're going to use a point and the slope and the slope, which I totally wrote in the wrong order. But anyway, you use slope and the point. Let me rewrite that. So you're going to use your slope and your point to plug into y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And lastly, you want to solve for y. And that's what you do every time. There's a thing in calculus class where you do the slope of a tangent line. You still follow those 3 steps all the way in calculus. So knowing that, how to find the equation of a line, that will get you very far. You can use it many times, okay? So find the slope. You use the slope and a point to plug into this equation, and then you solve for y. Okay. Now, the only time that doesn't work, if it's vertical, the slope is 0, and it's y equals a number. That's not vertical, that's horizontal. Sorry. If it's horizontal, the slope is 0, it's y equals a number. And vertical, the slope is undefined. You'll get like a number over 0, and it's x equals a number. So that's really the only time that this 3-step process doesn't help you much, okay? So horizontal, all of the y's match. Vertical, all of the x's match. And that's why the slope doesn't work the way you want it to. Okay, so let's do number 9 together. Okay. So we have 2 points, 5, 3, and -5, -3, okay? And they say, find the equation of the line in slope-intercept form that passes through those 2 points. Now remember, you got to do the 3 steps you see here. First step is to find your slope. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Label your points. It really doesn't matter which you use for which. It doesn't matter at all. So if you reversed it, you'll still get the same thing, okay? So let's find our slope. That's always the first step. Sometimes they're nice and they say the slope is this, and then you're like, yeah, I got it, okay? So anyway, so you got -3 minus 3 over -5 minus 5, which is -6 over -10. Both are divisible by 2. Both are negative, so if you reduce it down, you get 3/5. Okay, so that's our first step, remember. You always have to find the slope, either given from the information they gave you or from the actual equation, however floats your boat, okay? Second step, we're going to use that slope and any of the points. Now, I tend to just personally go for ones that are positive, so then I don't have to mess up maybe the signs. And then we're going to plug into the formula, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So we get y minus 3 equals 3/5 times x minus 5. So that's our plugging into the equation. That's technically the equation. It just doesn't look good. And so you got to solve it for y. Now, to solve it for y, there's usually 2 steps you got to take to get it to solve for y. First thing you got to do is distribute. Okay, so let's distribute. So I'm not touching the y minus 3 yet. That'll be the second step. Okay, so I'm going to distribute 3/5 x. 3/5 times -5 is -15/5. The 5's kind of cancel and just leave a -3. And so then we have to add 3 to both sides. And we have now effectively solved for y. If you want to see that intercept and you put +0 down, I am totally okay with that. If you don't include the 0, I'm okay with that. So it's really your decision how you do that. But that's what you're doing for that section, okay? Now I'm going to let everybody catch up with that, and then I want to talk about the last ones that talk about parallel and perpendicular, okay? Any questions about number 9? Okay, some people are still writing, so I'm going to leave this up here for just a little bit, and then we'll move on to, I want to talk about those last little instructions. Am I good to look back at those instructions? Everybody good? Okay, let's take a look just at these 3. We're just going to read them together, okay? So remember, you have to find the slope, then you have to use that formula, and then solve it for y. So that's what you do every time. In 11, they have used the word parallel. When 2 lines are parallel, what do we know about their slope? What do we know about their slope? Yes. It's the same. So what is the slope of the line that we are parallel to? What is the slope of this line? 5/3, that coefficient on our x. So we know that our slope is 5/3. So we just found step 1. The slope they gave us was 5/3. That's the slope we use. So that's great for when they say parallel. But let's take a look at 12. They're mentioning perpendicular. Now this time they say we're perpendicular to 5/3. Do we use 5/3? No. Yes, we've got to flip it and change its sign. So when we flip it, we get 3/5, and we just got to put a slope on it. So for 12, we are using the slope of -3/5. Now 13 is a little different. You have to calculate the slope, then flip it and change its sign. Okay, so 13, you have a little bit of work to do to get there, but 11 and 12, that's going to get you started there. Okay, so you have today and tomorrow to work on this, so you do have 2 days to work on it. If you get it done now, tomorrow's kind of just a chill out day. So that's what we're working on. If you need me, just ask. There you go.